to give you guys a brief introduction. On the board here, we have myself with Conveyor Solutions, Brandon Hunter. Obviously, you guys have seen my face a few times this past week or two. Jason Effing is also a panelist with us, and he's our Vice President of Sales. And Jason, would tell him a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I just have a background in material handling all through since college, before college, through college, as far as internships and stuff. So I've been in the industry for over 25 years, I guess, from advanced systems and automation and conveyors, kind of all the above. So I've been in the warehousing, distribution, manufacturing world for a long time.
And then Joe, how long have you been in the industry? I know you've been around for a while, right? But you've been with OPEX for a few years?
Been with OPEX in my 5th year. Kind of like Jason, been a warehouse automation geek my whole life. I couldn't double E my way out of a wet paper bag right now, but come from an engineering background, and I try to get away for a few years, and then you get sucked back into the warehouse automation. So
Yeah.
been in it in my whole career since starting out of college in the 80s.
Yeah, once you're in, you just can't get away from it. Seems
It's a lot of fun.
good thing. So I appreciate everybody joining us today. We're here to talk about goods to person, and this is going to be sort of an interview style presentation. We're going to go back and forth to me, myself, Joe, and Jason if he wants to chime in. If you have any questions that you'd like to raise, or any particular scenarios that you'd like to raise, please feel free to say something at the appropriate time or raise your hand in the chat window. I'm going to allow everybody to talk just so I don't have to manage the chat window as much. But if you want to use chat to ask a question anonymously, feel free to do that. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and get started. It's 4:08. We've got everybody, I think, that is going to get on right now that's on. So goods to person in a brave new world. Let's talk about that. I skipped a few here. Hold on, what happened? I don't love it. All right, here we go. So what are you going to get out of today's webinar? First of all, we're going to allow you to understand what good to person's technology is. If you've never heard that terminology before, what are the different types of goods to person technology that are available in the marketplace? What's been tested and proven out there? Current product offerings from CSI and from OPEX. Understanding ROI considerations when we look at applications for goods to person. And then know who to contact if you have questions within our organization, good sources for information, things of that nature. And then what do initial conversations look like when you're really wanting to dive in and investigate this as an option? What does that initial research, initial conversation with us look like? We're going to go through that today. And if you have some really want to get into the meats and potatoes of any particular thing, raise your hand, let us know, or we can even do a one-on-one meeting after the webinar to really get into a particular application. So Conveyor Solutions, I've been with the company now for almost 3 years. Jason's been with us for 5, almost 6 now, right, Jason?
Yeah, just right at 6, yep.
Just right at 6 years. We're an independent systems integrator. So what we do is we are a consultant sales and applications kind of driven company. We like to use known solutions to solve problems in the 3PL, fulfillment, and manufacturing environment. We're American owned, established in 1996. We do everything within a project. So we do the project management, the electrical installation and design, the panel, and the mechanical and electrical installations. We also do the commissioning and testing and the aftermarket support. And another caveat to that is We also do WMS software and those natures, and consulting on warehouse growth and changes within your warehouse. So we are a pretty broad company, and overall, what we are is systems in motion as a company. Like I said, we started in 1996, and then we became Conveyor Solutions West, that we established in 2012. We acquired a company called MHIG. They do our mechanical installations, and they also do some repair work in the racking and static storage world. KVK, which is our electrical controls division, designs our control systems and does our software. Hytroparts.com is our website that sells Hytro parts directly to your customers, allowing quick and smooth purchasing of parts. Has kind of been an antiquated process. The FlexibleConveyor.com, which started last year, is our gateway to sell F&H style conveyor, flexible extendable conveyors. And then last year we established the Electrical Systems Group, which is a subset of KVK that we broke off to really do installations on a wider breadth of electrical applications. So that's who we are as a whole company. Systems in Motion, we're a little bit bigger than just Conveyor Solutions, but Conveyor Solutions is the backbone of what we do. That about covered, Jason?
Yeah, that's a good overview.
So what are our core values? We value ourselves on integrity, optimism, and growth-oriented company. So we are, going like gangbusters like everybody else, especially in this current market environment. We use a make it happen kind of attitude. In other words, we as individual sales engineers and individual teammates are going to get out there and roll up our sleeves in order to make a project work. We're passionate, enthusiastic. I love material handling. Everybody that works for us loves it. We are thoroughly, all of us have been in the industry for a long, long period of time, and we own our projects. So, we are deeply involved in the understanding the mechanical principles that go on in our projects, so that you don't have just a salesperson that comes in and he's got a PDF that he read off of. We understand what we're doing. And part of that's being a creative problem solver. So those are our real core values. And we'll let Joe speak to OPEX and give a brief explanation of OPEX. Oh, Joe, you're muted. I'm going to unmute you.
People mute me all the time, Brandon. I was kind of used to that. So maybe I did that on my own. Well, thanks, Brandon and Jason. I appreciate being able to partner with you guys and share a little bit of the Conveyor Solutions and OPEX goodness with some of your customers. So a little bit about OPEX. So we've been around for 40 some years. The gentleman in the middle, Al Stevens, started the company out of little Terre Haute, Indiana. A couple hundred employees were just opening letters all day long. Reminds me what I tell my kids: stay in school. That might be what you're doing someday. So he ended up finding a company called OPEX that would automatically open letters for him. And so he ended up buying the company, long story short. And we're not only in mailroom automation, but in the warehouse automation right now as well. We're financially strong. We're a global leader. We are around the world. Not only in the mailroom automation, but also with the warehouse automation, which is what we'll be talking about today. And so because we are around the world, we can say billions of products have been processed each year on OPEX equipment. Most banks have our automation, mailroom automation, the United Nations, hospitals, a lot of people have that. And since we've been in mailroom in the warehouse automation for the last 10 years now, we're actually spreading that goodness around the world as well.
So as I was researching OPEX a little bit deeper than our initial conversations, one of the things that really impressed me was that you said, what I found out is that you guys process billions of fulfillments each year across your equipment. So it's really interesting to know like how long you guys have been in this automated processing of in the mail industry and also in the e-commerce industry. I think out of all the companies that do goods to person, you're probably the longest established. Does that sound accurate?
It is maybe not so much on the warehouse side, but the company wide, yes, because we've been around for so long and we're used to each item, Brandon, being very important. So in the opening of letters, back in the day when most people would send in their check for their energy bill or something like that, they'd write a check out and send it in. Each one of those envelopes, those checks, were extremely important to the receiver. And so every one of those billions of transactions that we do are extremely important, whether it was $30 or $300 or $300,000.
Right.
Each one of those is written on a piece of paper in an envelope, and we take care of each one of those with great care. And so we've carried that same philosophy into the warehouse space as well.
So it sounds like you know how to do things accurately.
That's our goal, for sure.
All right. So what is good to persons? I kind of summarize this in a lot of these videos that I've been doing, but what I like to tell people is that you have to understand a traditional warehouse is person to goods. You know, your person is going and they're getting a ticket from the SAP or ERP or whatever the system they're working with, and then you get to manually go and pick it from its location and put it, induct it into a system where it's then sorted versus a goods to person operation. So a goods to person kind of flips it on its head. Am I correct?
That's exactly right. And to your point there at the bottom, what you're cutting out, you know, and most people, no fault of their own, are in warehouses where they have carts or they have little handhelds or they have letters, these pick tickets. So what goods to person cuts out is all of that, all the time that's non-productive. So you see people with their little Fitbits on and they can get 15,000, 25,000 steps a day walking around the warehouse. Okay, that's good for personal until their knees barking at them or their back is barking at them. So there's a lot of walking, which is not really fulfilling the order, right?
Right.
And then there's a lot of waiting. You're waiting for a process to happen. So with goods to person, the reverse happens, and we're bringing the goods to you in a very fast order, and we're just allowing it's as if you walked. When we do a time study, we would follow you to the pick face. When you get to the pick face, and it might have been zigzagging down 2 or 3 aisles, you finally get to that spot, you scan it, then we say, what do you do now? And they say, oh, I pick it, or I pick it, I put it in a bag, put a little love note, put a little twisty on it. Okay, what are those things you do? But eliminating all of the walking. So it's really just a few seconds worth of work, and then they hightail it to the next spot. We take all that away and immediately bring another iBot, another tote presentation up to you.
I think if you ask the average worker how many steps they take on their Fitbit, they'll tell you 8 miles a day or something along those lines. That's 8 miles. That's a long time, you know, and that's why it's so important. So we get to the nuts and bolts of it is that goods to person takes the human element out of the stored product retrieval, and that's where you're talking about saving the time. And there's basically 2 methods from what I understand. The retrieval of storage racks within a warehouse by a fetching robot, or the retrieval of goods stored in a high density storage solution and placed directly into a shipping method. Both are really similar in what they do, although I think that your system being a high density storage system for that part is unique. Because a lot of warehouses we walk in today and they have 10-foot tall racks for picking out of, but they have 40-foot tall ceilings. And so there's just a lot of lost space. But really both solutions get the job done. It's just a reduction of time is the benefit. So obviously, you know, we're featuring OPEX here, but Conveyor Solutions offers all of this. So, you know, because it's not a silver bullet, right? There's not just one solution, there's multiples. And, you know, Jason, and I'm sure Joe can agree that we try to have it broad, but for today's time, we really want to focus on what your offerings are. So, So this is go ahead, Joe. Can you go ahead and tell us what's going on here? This next
Yeah,
slide.
sure can. Thanks. So really, there's two items that I was going to talk about today, and one of them is Perfect Pick or Perfect Pick HD. Those are the two images at the top, and the one on the left is a little wider than the one on the right because there's twice as many totes in it. So, and I'll show you another image later, but the iBot travels inside that aisle in that little slot, if you will. And then the image below that, where the gal Laura is standing there, that's kind of her standing at the iBot at the tote, and the tote's been presented to her. What you don't see is right underneath that iBot, that little blue iBot with the gray tote, is another one ready to pop up. So this is the high-speed goods-to-person presentation, and that's Perfect Pick. The other one is Sure Sort. That's the bottom image.
We're talking about this guy right here for the presentation phase.
Exactly right. Thank you. And you could have 5 to 15 iBots in an aisle, so it depends. The other one, yeah, down at the bottom there where you are, Brandon, is Sure Sort. So I'll have to show you differently. It looks the same size. It's not. It's much smaller. It's about 7 feet tall. You wouldn't need to get on a ladder or anything. So it's a high-speed sortation piece of equipment that's beautiful in the warehouse for small to medium-sized items, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then the last image here we have is Cortex. So OPEX makes their own software, and so it's called Cortex, and Cortex is what runs the Perfect Pick. I call it the middleware. It's the equipment controller of Perfect Pick between your WMS and the aisle. It tells the iBots which tote it needs. It keeps track of the inventory, cycle counting, etc.
Right. So you're talking about the robotic portion of your solution. So you have two different types of bots. You have the iBots and the Sure Sort bots. So what is the primary difference between the two of these?
Yeah, the one at the top, and that's that same blue image that you just circled, Brandon, in the previous slide, is the iBot holding a tote. All the totes are 30 inches by 20 inches, and they could have a reconfigurable amount of slots in them, those dividers that we can put in there. The iBots are ultra capacitor powered. That means they're very fast charging. They never have to stop for a charge like a fork truck might. So it's charging when it's on the bottom rail, when it goes up the front face, and even when it's braking, it captures that regenerated energy. And the iBot is the smarts of the system. It's a tongue and groove type of thing, type of connection of the wheel to rack, and it trips the gates when it changes direction. And every iBot can access every tote in the aisle. So if I have 5 iBots in the aisle and one needs attention, the other 4 are going out like crazy, and they can access every single iBot. And the capacity for Perfect Pick is 80 pounds. That includes the tote, so 65 to 70 pounds of content. And for Sure Sort, the little guy at the bottom, he only weighs 5 or 6 pounds. He can carry 5 pounds, and that's a bidirectional cross belt that's on side with some side sensors on it. So they're pretty sophisticated, but they're simple devices.
Okay. Well, and when we're talking about Sure Sort a little bit later, and obviously, the big benefit with these is, labor reduction. So we're going to look at a video real quick on the OPEX Perfect Pick HD to kind of give an introduction to those who haven't seen it before. And hopefully this plays all right.
Looks good.
Since entering the material handling market, OPEX has quickly risen to the forefront of warehouse automation. Operating on proven iBot technology, OPEX's warehouse solutions address the industry's toughest challenges: excessive labor costs, the premium investment in warehouse space, and the demand for high picking rates. OPEX continues to drive productivity, reimagining the next generation of warehouse automation technologies. Introducing Perfect Pick HD. HD stands for high density and provides twice the storage of a single aisle with all the benefits and features of the standard Perfect Pick system. Delivering inventory
I apologize.
directly to the picking station at industry-leading throughput rates. Perfect Pick HD's distinctive design optimizes picking operations and keeps pace with current demand, while also supporting future growth. You no longer need to sacrifice storage capacity for higher throughput. You can have both. With this increased aisle density, customers have more flexibility to slot in items across their warehouse, eliminating zones and streamlining their process. Unique in the industry, Perfect Pick HD's Connect and Collect feature makes access to inventory simple and quick. Totes are stored interlocked in each location. When an iBot needs inventory from a target tote stored deeper in that location, it simply uses its extractor to remove the first tote. The interconnected deeper tote naturally flows to the front. iBot unlatches and relocates the first tote into a nearby free location, as the second tote is automatically positioned for collection and delivery to the workstation. Perfect Pick HD runs on a single automated component, the iBot, redesigned to deliver heavier payloads up to 80 pounds. Each iBot has 100% access to all of the inventory in the densely packed aisle. Powered by ultra-capacitors, iBots quickly capture regenerated energy during continuous operation, making them reliable and exceptionally energy efficient. Perfect Pick HD combines ergonomic comfort with operator safety in mind. Totes tilt for ease of picks and replenishments. A color-coded pick-to-light system simplifies picking, greatly reducing the possibility of errors. Text and visual prompts direct operators in choosing required items and quantities for each order. The all-new scalable OPEX workstation moves order containers quietly along the conveyors and across the zero-height transfers. The OPEX workstation is closely integrated with Perfect Pick's HD hardware and software systems, reducing latencies and making for a seamless customer experience. Once the operator completes an order, the container is transferred for final shipment, and another order indexes forward on the workstation's conveyor. As a double-ended system, Perfect Pick HD can vastly improve pick rates with two operators filling orders from both pick stations. Replenishment or restocking inventory can be accomplished simultaneously while orders are being picked, providing increased labor productivity and improved inventory accuracy. Coupled with OPEX overheight detect, jams due to overflowing totes are virtually eliminated at the point of replenishment. The traffic control software monitors the position of iBots and directs their movement for precision and efficiency. From order to implementation, setting up Perfect Pick HD is quick and efficient, providing a faster return on investment. OPEX designs and builds the very best workflow solutions and stands by them with the very best customer service. Every product is designed, engineered, manufactured, and tested in our solar-powered U.S. facilities by our own dedicated employees. To learn more about how Perfect Pick HD can exceed your fulfillment expectations, please contact us.
I wanted to point a few things out that I thought were important in this video. And the first one I thought was really striking is these are built in America. From a supply chain standpoint, most systems like this are not. The most goods person, AMR robots are all kind of built overseas for the most part. Am I correct?
Right, and with this COVID-19, with the borders being a little closed down, that's kind of been a bit of an advantage, plus a quicker deployment normally, yes.
Yeah, and I was talking about and wanting to cover this, but when we talk about after all this COVID stuff is up, there's going to be a big run on material handling equipment, and there's also a big run on installation. So the fact that the supply chain is here in the United States makes the execution time a lot better afterward, and also supply chain for parts and service. So I just think that's really important to bring forward, and also the energy efficiency. So I know that your plant is solar powered, and you guys are really proud of that. But can you talk to about the energy efficiency of these systems and how much energy or how much energy they don't use compared to some other systems?
Sure, it's a run on demand. We did a test on one of them. It was 150 feet long and 32 feet high, which is our tallest, and it was the equivalent of running a couple of toasters in an hour. So it's not a high energy consumer, and we're even challenged. Maybe our bluff was called by a customer in Florida where they get quite a bit of sun, and they said, "Hey, can we put solar panels up too? How many is it going to take? Can you really do that?" And I can't recall. I think it was about 6 solar panels per iBot, so they had to put 30 or 40 solar panels on their roof to capture the renewable, and so they're running net zero. They're running their whole system net zero. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty fun.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, here we are. So can you tell us about this slide? This is one of yours, so I'm not too familiar with it.
Yeah, sure. So the beauty of the OPEX products are that we're scalable. And I come from a long line of engineers and mentors who use the phrase minimum essential design. We don't want to sell you more than you need. So what do you need? So obviously you need a front pick module that's shown on the right, and you need some amount of totes. Well, we can have up to 30 expansion modules of that item in the middle there, and they're loaded with totes. So we can have up to 12,000 totes and be up to 30 expansion modules for a grand total of 200 feet long would be our max. And so scalable, add expansion modules later if you'd like. Scalable, add the back pick module later if you'd like. If your speeds are increasing, scalable, add more iBots as your speeds increase. So because of all that, we think that that's a nice go-to-market strategy that really helps out, especially somebody who's just starting out, doesn't really want to go full blown with the CapEx. They can start a little bit more modestly, and then we can grow with them.
And I thought the interesting thing is obviously you can be doing replenishment on one side if you're going to go that route, but then later on on the same module you could be doing fulfillment. So it really is extremely flexible in that you can put and pull in the same area. So I thought that was pretty neat stuff. So the next topic that we talked about and a lot of the ramping up to this was micro warehousing and micro fulfillment. And we're seeing a lot of this, right? With their local Kroger stores, or they're kind of using this model. The Walmarts are now picking for online orders out of their store. And while that's not exactly the same model, I can see a lot of retailers after this that have taken a big financial hurt are going to need to figure out how to still reach their retail customers. And this is a great way to do that, correct?
Exactly right. And instead of having like in a highly dense area, I'm in the Cincinnati area, so instead of having one major DC north of the city at which we feed everybody, even down here in northern Kentucky, you might have 4 or 5 micro fulfillment centers around the tri-state area. Indiana's nearby as well, and this happens to be global corporate for Kroger is here in Cincinnati area. So you could have a micro fulfillment, maybe 4 of them, north, south, east, and west, and be able to reach quickly your customers in those suburbs. And in 3,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet, I can store, pick, and sort items very, very efficiently with using both Perfect Pick and Sure Sort and similar technologies.
Yeah, what I like about this video, and we're going to show you in a second, it's not too long, is that it actually incorporates the 2 systems together, and it shows how effective that can be. So I'll go ahead and start this up here.
To compete in today's marketplace, businesses are turning to micro-fulfillment centers. These facilities are often small spaces, located in highly populated urban centers or inside retail stores, serving as a way to increase the speed of fulfillment and delivery to the end customer. Last-mile delivery remains a challenge for retailers. By adding automation to these small fulfillment hubs, retailers can quickly fill orders and reduce costs by cutting down the distance to customers and eliminating the need for additional labor. When it comes to space savings, look no further than Perfect Pick HD and Sure Sort. Each is highly scalable and requires a small footprint, making them an ideal solution for micro-fulfillment centers. Perfect Pick HD is a standalone goods-to-person fulfillment solution comprised of high-density racking that securely stores inventory.
I think this number right here,
storage locations,
it's pretty important.
travel throughout the system and deliver items directly to a pick station located at one or both ends of the aisle. Multiple items are picked from Perfect Pick and transferred to Sure Sort. where they are consolidated into individual order locations. SureSort's compact design eliminates the need for multiple footwalls or other sortation solutions, which require additional real estate. Orders can be picked, sorted, and packed in under 15 minutes with a micro-fulfillment solution from OPEX.
And not only can it be done in under 15 minutes, but the amount of people required is drastically less. You know, to do 400 or 500 picks per hour, you would have to have normally, you know, 5 or 6 pickers, and then you got to have the packers on the other side and all the equipment between. Where in this system, if you're doing like a kitting operation, you could be creating these kits on the fly and maybe have 3 or 4 people operating it with just sweepers. And really probably actually 3, right? Because you'd have the guy on the perfect pick and then 2 sweepers on the SureSort, and they're either, you know, dumping it right into their own corrugated cases, or dang it, pass that up. Or they're gonna be, you know, maybe taking it over to a bubble mailer. So it really gets some real good flexibility.
Yeah, we notice on with Perfect Pick, traditionally over the past 6 or 8 years, folks are saving between 4 to 5 at the low end number of heads and 15 to 16 number of heads as far as pickers that walk around fulfilling their orders. And we try to be very, you know, and we know Alpine's on the line here. And what they do well is the data. And so the data will let us know. So we've had people call us and say, oh man, I got 3 pickers and Jimmy never shows up on time, and Susie, you never know. I'm like, you know, with 3 pickers, that's probably not really where you would be. But
Right.
once you get up into the 5 to 10 pickers that are already there existing, if you have that many, and some people have 30 or 80 pickers, then that's where this really starts to show up.
Right. So I'll let you talk to the ROI considerations. I've had some phone conversations with you on other applications, and you're just always rattling numbers off. I'm like, I couldn't keep up. So I'll let you talk about this because you're kind of the master of ROI calculations. So.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good intro. There's a lot of there's a lot of things, and we just put these bullets up here. You guys can read faster than I can speak. So there's a lot of things that happen in the ROI, and different people treat it differently. And some people's, you know, the value of an employee is 20,000. Sometimes it's 80,000. So it depends if it's a fully loaded number. But there's other things to remember is that your space is not free either. So sometimes if you do have we had a customer who was leasing 2 parts of one building. They were able to get out of one lease, one of the a third of their lease, and consolidate very well into the 2/3. So there's some savings that can be achieved there. And then the other big one I'd like to focus on, 4th one down, accuracy increases along with the decrease of returns. Probably should have listed those together, but there they are. Yeah. So if I'm more accurately shipping, then I have less returns, right? Just by definition. And let's face it, guys, not a lot of people like to deal with returns, and the returns pile up. They could be brand new returns that you got to get back into the, you know, get them back on the bench so that they can be picked again. And if they're not, they're sitting there and it's a waste. So we found the accuracy is way up in the 99.x range, and then therefore the returns would be a lot less. And then of course, we mentioned the panel. Yeah, sorry.
So I believe you've also mentioned in the past about a big reduction in shrinkage as well for inventory and such. So it's a lot more of a controlled environment from that standpoint as well.
You're right. You're right, Jason. Some people would have to have multiple days on hand. Pick a number, 5 days, 30 days, quantity on hand. Now that I know I can quickly get it more efficiently, you can work with your purchasing people and start to trim that down a little bit. So your inventory needs are less as well and more controllable. And another thing you brought up, I didn't mention it before, with Perfect Pick, because there's a gatekeeper, the picker, some people put very valuable things in there. They're worried about what, you know, that associates might accidentally grab something and might end up being in their pocket. So you might put, even though it's a high, very fast mover, it might be a great and high value. And so there's only one gatekeeper. And so that person has very good control over all the inventory that you store there.
Right. And then also, cost relocate, obviously you talked about being able to condense their, storage down. If we can condense that, obviously people can look at their situation a little bit more effectively. Yeah, it's such a great product. And, and you actually, OPEX actually utilizes this. You don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. You guys use Perfect Pick HD and Sure Sort within your own facility to do your parts handling. Am I correct?
We do. We eat our own cooking. We kind of said that right at the beginning. We said, we're going to use this, and guess what we store in it? Spare parts for Sure Sort and Perfect Pick that we send to our technicians around the world. So by doing that, we were able to reduce our labor. It used to be, we had an 8-to-1 reduction in our labor. And what used to be, we wouldn't even finish it in a day, now gets finished in about 4 to 6 hours. That's not everybody. That's just our story. So our accuracy was up quite a bit, and we're able to extend our cutoff times. That last item there is real important in this e-com world in which we live. Hey, order by noon, we'll ship it same day. Order by 2 o'clock. What if you could order by 4 o'clock? What if you could order by 6 o'clock? That's not.
Give an inch, they want a mile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just ordered it. Why isn't it here? There should be somebody coming to my window right there, dropping it off. So
well, we live in the now generation, I'll tell you that.
It is. And that's what I tell my kids. Thank you for keeping me in business, because we want it now. We want it delivered free, right? So that's a different story. And then I want my returns to be free. So
right.
We do kind of get that, and we've created this monster, and that's the monster that we have. But in the warehouse automation space, that's what it's called for. The beauty of Perfect Pick is the scalability. We can start, and if these things change, we can scale up or down.
Right. And so I think that we're going to get into the Sure Sort specifically, and I think that this is one that you guys probably do more Sure Sorts than anything. I was just in an application last week where they have about 30 or 40 pickers on the floor. It's crazy to me. And of course, they're looking for the most cost-effective solution. So, and they're driven by cost. But they could probably narrow that down to 4 people because the number of picks they have to do per day is much lower than a Sure Sort can do in a day. So it's something I'm going to hopefully bring up with them next week. But yeah, this is a great product, and we're going to go ahead and show how this actually works.
Whether replenishing store inventory or picking direct-to-consumer orders, today's ever-changing retail environments demand highly efficient and agile order fulfillment. Warehouses and distribution centers that once exclusively handled pallets and cases are now handling an ever-increasing volume of small, multi-line item orders. Batch and wave picking have greatly improved picking operations. However, items still must be sorted to individual orders or replenished. Because of the various sizes and odd-shaped packaging of the products in an order, sorting them is inefficient, labor-intensive, and prone to error. Well, what if you could simplify all your order fulfillment, outbound logistics, and incoming material sorting needs? What if there was an economical system that could be configured and customized to work efficiently within your existing warehouse space? Introducing Sure Sort, a highly scalable, cost-effective, and configurable single-item sorting system. Designed and manufactured by OPEX Corporation, Sure Sort is a robotic each or small parcel sorter that easily handles complex variables and delivers a wide variety of items into a compact array of customizable sort locations. Touted as next-generation technology, Sure Sort delivers true operational excellence by reducing touches in the amount of transfers and conveyors required to run existing sorters. Sure Sort provides a better way to sort items more accurately and efficiently. Regardless of size, packaging, or orientation of an item, Sure Sort will read every barcode and deliver each piece in a single pass. Any item recalled by the WMS is returned to the induction operator. SureSort is smart automation based on proven iBot delivery technology. These multi-directional iBots are intelligent wireless vehicles that can effectively transport the smallest of items in inventory up to 5 pounds. iBots are directed by SureSort's host software in conjunction with virtually any warehouse management system, delivering all items to their assigned order location accurately and easily at up to 3,600 items per hour. Sort locations can be configured in various depth containers based on customer requirements. The pack-to-light system includes customizable LED indicators on each column to alert workers when orders are complete or when other actions are required. Once the order is complete, the bin is cleared and the order tote or shipping container is transported to a packing station in preparation for shipment. Ergonomically designed, SureSort is ideal for small businesses looking for a cost-effective entry into warehouse automation, as well as large fulfillment operations looking to streamline their process. Installing quickly and easily, SureSort is highly scalable in both size and throughput. Simply add expansion modules and iBots to adjust for growth and peaks in demand. From order sorting or replenishing to pack out and delivery, SureSort is sure to exceed your expectations. OPEX designs and builds the very best warehouse automation systems and stands behind them with the very best customer service. To learn more, visit www.opex.com.
So if you're doing a lot of small items, this really is a fantastic piece of equipment because you could be, grabbing to a tote and sending it down, and then they're going to put it into the tote at the sort location, and it just gets sent right out to shipping. So this is more of the person to goods, like we were talking about earlier, unless of course you incorporate a perfect pick, and then it's more of a closed loop system. But for a smaller operation that is saying, well, man, we're trying to do 2,400 shipments a day, but we can't seem to get it. And you walk in and there's 30 people there. Well, hey, look, we can do that. No problem with the system in a lot fewer hours. So I just think it's a great product to bring forth to DCs. And so that's, you can get a little bit more into it. So how it kind of breaks down here, and there's an induction station that's located here, and then it goes through a Cognex scan tunnel. How many Cognex cameras are in that scan tunnel?
Well, it's all 6 sides, including a bottom read, but there's 8 total heads in there.
Right, and then if it kicks back out, there's a hand scanner as well, and a manual input for hard to read barcodes. Is that correct?
Exactly. Maybe the barcode is crumpled a little bit, or the inductor put it down a little bit in a way, or put one item on top of another. So there's some things that could be done. So it's still operator dependent, but we're catching up to 8 barcodes. We're sending that to you, and you're going to know exactly what that is, and then we will deposit it in the right bin.
So then you got your the parts of this here. You got your base module here, and the reject bin that's located here. So anything like you just said, we can't read it, ain't gonna happen, it goes into the reject bin. I want to point this out too, Joe, is the slide that you added is bin options. I got a lot of my packaging customers here, and it can be incorporated with a corrugated container that's ready to close and ship. It could be done with totes. So the actual container, of course, you guys have to test, you were telling me, but there's just an endless amount of options, right?
There is, and we can provide them. We usually do, but we don't have to. If there's some packaging reasons why not to, that's fine. We'll certainly talk about it. We have to kind of build the shelf underneath it because it attaches to the wall of the SureSort. But as you can see from this image, there's a lot of different choices. Even if it's on the far right, that larger blue tote, those are a little wider than each column, and you can see how they overlap a little bit. And so therefore, we have to stagger them. So you have to get only 3. So it's kind of that tug and war between, do I want more destinations, like the image in the center at the bottom? Those are just little 4-inch trays. I can get a lot more of those, or do I want more volume? And so we can go up to 45 feet long with this Sure Sort. Again, it's scalable. You can see the seam, maybe, Brandon, if you could point to the seam on the right image between the M and the N at the top. There's a
Yep, this guy right here.
That's it. That's the expansion module. And I apologize, the far left image even shows it better between B, C, and D. You can see every 3 columns is an expansion module, just like Perfect Pick. So you can have up to 11 expansion modules for Sure Sort. And then every one of them comes with those trays and totes.
So your shortest tray is 4 inches, right?
We,
From what I remember.
we even have a 3-inch tray that came from our mailroom automation called Mail Matrix,
Mm-hmm.
the predecessor, the baby grandfather to Sure Sort. So it came first, and it was much narrower because of the it would handle envelopes and letters, a lot of flats. So
Right.
3 inches is the smallest.
So, if you have a customer that is, say, they're doing small electronics or doing headphones and things for cell phones, perfect application because it's, the small flat items and the high dollar, high value is the perfect application for this.
It is. And because the iBot and Sure Sort has that belt on it that we showed, it touches your item. In Perfect Pick, the item lands in our tote, so we just handle the tote. So because of that,
Right.
we would recommend, unless you did have phone accessories, those things are very, very simple. Anybody's phone or accessories usually comes in a very nice box, a square, a rectangle,
Yep.
whatever. Easy to read, easy to grab the barcodes. So we would recommend testing it in our demo facility. If you have any concerns, we'd be happy to do that.
And you have a demo facility in New Jersey, and is there one in Dallas as well, or is it just New Jersey?
You're not supposed to talk about Dallas yet. Hang on a minute.
Oh.
That Dallas is new. I'd be shocked if we didn't have something there next year. So, but for now, it's in a little bit east of Philly, in the south side of Jersey, in Morristown, New Jersey, is where our demo facility is.
Right, and you yourself have customers here in the Midwest that if somebody really needed to get their eyeballs on one that we could possibly call on, and as well as going back to the New Jersey facility at any point.
Correct.
So I think that's important to understand that it's not like we're just proposing something that hasn't been done in the United States.
Right.
And which is kind of what you run into a lot in this world. Is that, yeah, we'd love to sell one of these large systems here, but we haven't yet. So, so we're able to actually bring people in and get some good testimonials and case studies that you guys have a lot of great information.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited about that. So this is the question and answers portion. If there's a lot of people still on the line, feel free to unmute yourself and ask anything. But what we kind of went over is what is goods to person, and just to reiterate, it really is a robotic process of picking that eliminates the human element from the actual retrieval of the goods. Types of goods to person, OPEX, for them you have the Perfect Pick and the Sure Sort and Perfect Pick HD. But there's also fetch robots that utilize storage bins and storage carts throughout a facility that we also do. And then there's the ROI considerations, and that's obviously shrinkage, real estate, fewer people to run a system. If you wanted to get the nuts and bolts of a system on somebody's actual warehouse, you have great calculators that you've shown us where we could actually show somebody their ROI and what type of system that we propose based on their data. So we can really get in depth on that with the customers.
Hey, Brandon, we have a chat question too, kind of goes to that. As a rule of thumb, what is the density of product storage increase using Perfect Pick?
Ooh.
Well, it'll depend on the height available to us. Like Brandon said a while ago, when you walk into a facility and you see the 6-foot high bin shelving, and then a lot of air above it, you're like, I start salivating. That's what I enjoy, seeing that up above. So what we found typically is shelving, typical gray bin shelving is about 50% full. And if it's only 6 foot tall, but if we can go up to 30 feet tall, our tallest is 32, but for math, that's not only 5 times denser to get from 6 to 30 is 5 times denser. We typically are 80%. So I can't think of the math off the top of my head, but if you're 6 foot tall is 50% utilized, and your 30-foot tall is 80% utilized, and then we pack them in so dense, it seems like it's 15 to 20 times as much. So it can be all over the board. We've walked in facilities that they only have like 16 feet clear. That's fine. We can build it. We're in 2-foot increments, but that's only, then my math is half as good as it was a moment ago, right? So it depends, but we're seeing that in the double digits for sure most of the time. Good question. And Brandon, you and I talked about this. If this is a very good, and I appreciate everybody's time and being here and to be able to discuss this. If you want to go in a deeper dive on either of the products at another time, Brandon, you'll be fielding questions from these guys, whatever you'd like to do.
Yep.
We can continue that, but this is a fantastic overview. So yeah, any more questions, please bring them on.
Well, I think it's also, something to point out is, all of our customers are coming to us. They can't get enough good labor. They can't get enough labor. They have a startup procedure to get them started and trained. Perfect Pick's very easy to operate. It's very intuitive. And we're also, depending on the picks and the arrangements, we can get upwards of 400 lines per hour out of a single end of Perfect Pick. And if it's double-ended, you could actually double that essentially. Whereas typically with even Pick-to-Light and some of those other things with carton flow, you're up to maybe 100 to 120 lines per hour. So your productivity goes through the roof. So I think that's something that's very important to point out when you look at this type of technology.
And also deployment time. I think that Joe, when we really went into an in-depth meeting on this, talked about, they can put a Perfect Pick module up very quickly. And Joe, I think you can kind of give the number or estimate on how long it takes you to put up a longer aisle.
Yeah, we would say if I said 4 to 8 months, you guys are only hearing the 4 part and not the 8. But the 8 part is there's usually a month or so to get things going, understanding the engineering drawings, asking the client, do you need a sprinkler? Are there permits needed? So that's done by others. So we kind of give yourself a little time. Our manufacturing is the 3 to 4 months, and we can install a long aisle in a couple of weeks. So and then it depends on how much elaborate testing there is afterwards. So that's the reality of it is it could be 8 months, but here we are in May. If somebody had a modest system that wasn't going to have, all kinds of layers of testing, and we're happy to do that. But if you needed this by Christmas, we could do it. So here we are 7 months away. That would be very doable for us. Get me in a headlock, try to get something out in 4 months. We could. Hopefully there's no sprinkler that we have to wait on, or you're not waiting for the municipality to declare a permitting or something like that. So if we can come in there quickly, we can move fast.
Yeah, we had another question kind of came to that, Joe, is can sprinklers be in the rack inside of OPEX?
They very much would be. They can, we've had some people want no water in the rack and they had us put baffles on the top. That's odd. That seems very odd to me. But about half the time, our customers require sprinklers. And so what we would do, we would have, the totes are stacked, maybe there's 25 in a stack. We have a few inches at the top. It's possible that when a sprinkler comes in, if there's only one layer, it might just be consumed by those extra miscellaneous inches we have at the top. But usually we have to lose a row of totes. And so if you had 2 levels of sprinkler, one at 9 feet and one at 18 feet, and then you got some in the ceiling, those 2 are usually it's still 1 row. So we would do a recalc and say, all right, we used to have 25 stacked high in every column. Now it's gonna be 24. And we need to work with you during the installation. So we'll build all the racking. and then the sprinkler guy, we'll time that. We have very good project managers. We will time that such that you come in right away then with the sprinkler and have that put in, and then we continue on with the rest of the installation. Good question. I thought of something too, Brandon, when we were talking about rates, and Jason, you just brought it up for Perfect Pick. And I kind of use the number 350 to 450 tote presentations an hour for Perfect Pick. You said 400 right in the middle. Perfect. That's a good spot.
Well,
So,
I said lines. I didn't say tote presentation. So
yeah,
upwards of that, more lines than that even.
exactly. But for sure sort, that's a much faster machine. And it was built for one presentation per second. We could take one away per second. And then we found out that the inductor can't quite keep up with that. So we thought that's not real. That's not, you can't maintain that. So we use 2/3 of that. So we use 2,400 units per hour that can be sorted by SureSort. And again, it's not a massive item. It's a 15 inches long, 12 inches wide, 4 inches high, 5 pounds. So there's a limit. If you're sorting baseball bats and surfboards, that's not us.
Right.
But you can sort a lot of smaller things. I use the golf analogy, not golf clubs or golf bags, but golf balls, a case of golf balls, gloves, tees, ball markers, socks. There's a lot of things that go with that you could sort. And then you go to a consolidation area and pick up the clubs or the oversized items in another spot.
And you find most people are, in these systems and prepping them for shipment on the inside, on the inbound, to kind of cut their time down when they pick. So I think I watched a video on that where, for some customers, they're going to be, pre-packaging it and putting a special SKU sticker on it so that when they pick it, they're ready to go. It's right to shipment. They're trying to eliminate those steps. So I think that's also an important consideration is, the process that you guys have put out there with other customers and that you could share when you incorporate the system is pretty vast, so you have a lot of experience with that.
Client got a little clever at the end of their sort, or at the end of their, they did a big batch pick for a SureSort, then all the shipping labels, they grabbed their card, their shipping label, folded it over and sorted it. And guess where it lands? It lands in the Jason effing order where he had ordered his green socks and pink shirt and his Tony Orlando and Dawn CD. And that's all grouped together. Wait, that was my order. Sorry, Jason. That was my order. But then they put the packing label in there too. That gets it sorted. Now counts as one of your sorts. You get 2,400 an hour. I just consumed some of those. But now, to your point, Brandon, that bin, the destination bin, is full of the items you need and the packing list.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a consolidation item, you're going to flash that one, not solid green, meaning I'm done and there's a packing list in it, but maybe flashing green, which means I have to take it to a consolidation area and go get the golf clubs, put that together, and that's where the printed label is. So if you do want to, you can sort the printed label, flash it green. That means I'm done, pack it up, dunnage, send it to pack out.
Well, I really appreciate everybody's time. I don't want to consume too much of it. I know we're all really busy, but if anybody else has any other questions that they'd like to ask, feel free to unmute yourself or type it in. But if not, we can go ahead and convene. I think I really appreciate your time, and Joe and Jason and everybody that came today. I think this was a great opportunity to really discuss this emerging market in material handling. So,
yeah, thanks everybody. Really appreciate the time. Well done, Brandon.